Games are fun. Games are great. Games are therapeutic. But can they ruin your love life? I have a quick story for you, a very quick story of 3 crucial moments in my life when I had the option, play video games or get girls. What did I choose? Everything I'm about to tell you really happened. And remember, this is our little secret. I was 16 years old. I was finally an adult. I got a driver's license, I got a car, but I went to an all-boys school. In other words, all sausage and no slippery oysters. The problem was, the school formal was coming up. For the Americans out there, the school formal is pretty much like the school prom, and I needed to find a formal partner bad. You see, it would have been social suicide if I didn't have a date to the formal. Everyone had a formal date, even the guy with the monobrow. I was the last man standing, if you could even call me a man. If I didn't find a formal date, I would have been the living symbol of ultimate failure. My life would be over. I had so little time to do so much. I needed to develop decent social skills. I needed to learn how to shower more than once a week. I needed to find a way to meet a woman. I was 16 years old and had never even held a woman's hand. So what did I do? I spent countless hours playing Final Fantasy IX. Up to now, many people vote Final Fantasy IX as the greatest Final Fantasy game of all time. Final Fantasy IX is a true gem in the world of role-playing games, captivating players with its rich and immersive storytelling, breathtaking visuals, and stumpy characters. From the moment you embark on the journey alongside the young thief, Zidane, and the Princess Garnet, the game weaves a spellbinding narrative that seamlessly blends epic adventure, poignant moments, and a touch of whimsical charm. The characters were really stumpy, weren't they? Garnet reminded me of a stumpy Rinoa from Final Fantasy VIII, which is one of the core reasons why I loved her character so much. I figured Rinoa would be too tall for me, so in a fantasy life, the stumpier Garnet may give me a chance if Zidane were to, I don't know, mysteriously die from food poisoning. Or be sent to prison because he's a thief. And remember, children,
stealing is a sin.
Well, duh.
The game's narrative depth and character development are remarkable as it explores profound themes such as identity, love, and the nature of existence. Each character in the diverse cast brings a unique perspective and personal growth, ensuring that players form deep emotional connections and feel invested in the struggles and triumphs of these stumpy creatures. Plus, the bad guy wears a G-string. In addition to its compelling story, Final Fantasy IX offers a masterclass in game design and mechanics. The gameplay strikes a perfect balance between classic turn-based combat and innovative features, allowing for strategic battles that never feel repetitive. The ability system provides a sense of customization and growth, allowing players to tailor their characters' abilities and playstyles to suit their preferences. And you might not know this, but Final Fantasy IX actually lets you play battles with 2 players! My cousin would often chime in and we'd play hours into the night. And last but not least, melodies of life, man. How could you have played Final Fantasy IX without being compelled to repeatedly listen to this fantastic theme song by Emiko Shiratori? And you may be asking, did I get a formal date in the end? Like with all of my assignments growing up, I accomplished a rush job the very last minute, and I didn't even have to pay anyone. I got a friend of a friend to come with me and had a fantastic night out. I left early to finish playing Final Fantasy IX, but apparently after I left, one of the girls got pig's blood poured on her head and went on a rampage. But that story is for another day. That wasn't the end of it for me, and the situation became more serious. Fast forward a bit, and I was now in my early 20s. I'd made it into university, life was full of potential, and I'd finally understood the importance of showering more than once a week. So I met this new girl in comms class. I remember her vividly. She wore a green top, a short white skirt, had blonde tips on her long, unwashed black hair. I said things and she laughed. She said things and I laughed. We exchanged Hotmail addresses, and as soon as I got on the bus, I was surprised but secretly happy to have received an email from her. She said, "I know this sounds crazy, and I just met you, but do you want to study together and grab a bite or something tonight, LOL?" And I looked at her email and I smiled, and then I replied, "No." This is because I was about 30% through playing Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is widely regarded as one of the greatest video games of all time, and for good reason. Released in 2004, this critically acclaimed stealth action game pushed the boundaries of storytelling, gameplay mechanics, and immersion. Set during the Cold War era, players take on the role of Naked Snake, also known as Big Boss, as he embarks on a high-stakes mission in the Soviet Union jungle. You could also eat squirrels. What I liked about this game the most is that it rooted out all the complicated stuff and went back to basics, at least until the end. The story was so much easier to understand than Metal Gear Solid 2, and I found myself compelled to keep playing until the game's dramatic conclusion, when Naked Snake finally confronts his mentor in a poetic field of flowers. Did I mention he can eat squirrels?
I see you caught yourself a Japanese flying squirrel. Japanese flying squirrels are non-venomous and they shouldn't attack you. The head, front legs, hind legs, and tail of the Japanese flying squirrel are connected by a membrane of skin, which allows the squirrel to glide from tree to tree. So, aren't you going to ask me?
You know it. How does it taste?
Not sure.
Not sure.
The guy doesn't say anything about it.
Why not?
Gee, maybe it's because no one would ever think of eating a flying squirrel.
Then I must be the first one.
Maybe you are.
The gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 3 is a masterclass in stealth action. The dense jungle environment provides a vast playground for players to navigate, and the game introduces new mechanics such as camouflage, survival elements, and close quarters combat. CQC, baby! Adding depth and variety to the gameplay experience. And the bosses, I love how every boss has a compelling backstory, and speaking of compelling backstories, the bosses were beautifully named: the pain, the fear, the end, the fury, and the sorrow. And let's not forget the presence of the young Revolver Ocelot, with a hauntingly beautiful musical score composed by Harry Gregson Williams, who worked on films like Man on Fire, Chronicles of Narnia, Shrek, and so much more. The game creates an immersive atmosphere that captures the attention of the Cold War era, and also when he eats squirrels. And there's also a love scene on a giant tiger rug. So what happens between me and that girl with black hair and blonde tips? You're gonna hate to hear this, but things worked out because that's how I roll, baby! I managed to finish Metal Gear Solid 3 and still end up meeting her again, but only quickly because I had a new game to play. But since my now wife is probably going to watch this video at some point, just putting out there that me dating this girl was a horrible experience for both of us. She and I were clearly better off with other people, and she probably owes me money. Money I could have spent on games. Speaking of wives, let's talk about how I chose video games over my marriage. Fast forward several years later, and my now wife and I are officially married! Thank you. Our wedding was an amazing, stupidly expensive day full of laughter, alcohol, and emotional speeches. But to be honest, there were not enough tears. More people should have cried. I might have to redo this wedding. Anyway, my wife and I celebrated our beautiful honeymoon in New Zealand. At one point, as we were eating fresh seafood and overlooking the beautiful Queenstown scenery, my wife glanced at me with a concerned expression. "What's wrong?" she asked me. "Is it about something I said, LOL?" But apparently, I didn't hear her. Her words went straight past me like invisible ghosts. This is because I was thinking about the latest update by an amazing mobile JRPG called Another Eden. They had just released a collaboration with the popular classic JRPG Chrono Cross, and in their latest update you could unlock a new space character, Starkey! Why was the new Starkey minigame so hard? I thought to myself, how can I complete it and create some video content about it? Another Eden is a remarkable mobile RPG that combines nostalgic storytelling with stunning visuals and engaging gameplay. It's developed by a team with experience from the Chrono Trigger series, including the famous Masato Kato, who had a hand in Chrono Trigger, Radical Dreamers, Xenogears, Chrono Cross, Final Fantasy XI, and parts of Final Fantasy VII. Another Eden isn't as big as Final Fantasy IX or Metal Gear Solid 3, but I discovered this game when I had a huge longing for a JRPG that had a great story, gave me that 2D nostalgia, but was still palpable for my modern tastes. As I moved around a lot, I wanted a game I could keep playing anywhere, even in the toilet, and after trying a bunch of crappy games, I finally found Another Eden, which had glowing reviews, by the way. Another Eden takes players on a time-traveling adventure alongside the protagonist Aldo and a diverse cast of characters. The captivating narrative unfolds gradually, revealing intriguing plot twists and emotional character arcs, while the hand-drawn artwork and meticulously crafted environments create a visually stunning experience. And even if it's a mobile game, the attention and money they put into the full orchestral soundtrack knocks me off my crusty socks. There are so many women in this game. The gameplay strikes a perfect balance between accessibility and depth, with turn-based combat that allows for strategic decision-making. The inclusion of a time travel mechanic adds a unique twist, enabling players to explore different eras and unlock new quests and characters. Plus, it sets up for many beautiful and heartbreaking short stories. It's a gacha game which can leave a bitter, thick, and pineapple-y taste in many people's mouths, but they've designed it in a way where you can finish all the main story and even unlock some very strong characters without spending a cent. There are so many women in this game. The problem with many great games is that they end. Final Fantasy IX had to end, Metal Gear Solid 3 had to end, but Another Eden has been going on for 6 years and they release completely new, well-written, beautifully designed content every few months and sometimes even less than that. I think if Another Eden was on more platforms, it would be a much bigger, more popular game. Check out Apocrypha Chapter 5 in the game, thank me later. So, am I still married? You see, during our honeymoon, I discovered the secret to finding time to play games while keeping my wife happy. When I would need 10 minutes to get ready to go out, my wife would need 2 hours. So I had a whole 1 hour and 50 minutes every day to get on with my gaming. Also, did you know that women farted and went to the toilet? I didn't know that. Consider all of your women's toilet breaks a sacred time to go out and do your own thing. Find that freedom you've been longing for. And if you don't believe me, check out the video in this description where I managed to spend hours playing games, creating video content, and making her the happiest wife ever during our honeymoon. That's right. But you know what? Now that I'm married, it may be time to start a family. But the question is, should I keep a room in our house for a new baby, or should I use the spare room for my PlayStation 5 setup? You see, Cyberpunk 2077's upcoming DLC, Phantom Liberty, is going to make it feel like a completely new game, almost like how Witcher 3's expansion packs